Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This video is for you if you're the first one in your family to go through a spiritual awakening process. If you're watching this, you might be feeling on one hand excited, but on the other hand overwhelmed by the journey that you're on and where you're at. And just to remember that you're not alone. Countless people have found themselves in this same situation and will find themselves in the same situation as more and more people continue to awaken on this planet at this time. And there are a lot of difficulties that come with navigating these family dynamics as what I guess you could call, conscious pioneers. I guess we're sort of conscious pioneers in this sense. The first ones in our families to have these spiritual awakenings and spiritual insights. Being the first in your family to go through this spiritual awakening process can be a profoundly inspiring, but also uniquely challenging experience. This situation often brings about a sense of purpose, as if you're a pioneer on this path toward awareness, healing, or personal growth that can benefit future generations. However, at the same time, it can often be and feel very isolating because those around us might not understand or relate to the changes and change in viewpoints that we're having. And that's particularly true when these other family members perhaps haven't gone through a similar spiritual experience. Another part of this, and I could do a whole video specifically on these really deep issues, but every one of us, of course, is dealing with our own issues and trauma and things we have to deal with, but we also have issues within our families that have been passed down at times for years, decades, even generations. Every one of our families has unconscious issues and patterns and triggers that have been passed down over years and years. So the really cool thing is when you're one of these first people in your family to sort of awaken and view things differently, there's this feeling of, oh wow, I can be the one to break some of these patterns. I can be the person to bring more love and positivity into these situations. But on the other hand, it can be really challenging because not only do you have to do the work on yourself, but even if you do that, you might still find that other family members aren't interested in that work or they're behaving the same as they did before. So there are lots of sources of possible frustration in this process too. Hi, I'm Jeff and I teach practical and spiritual methods to organize and empower your life. So now let's explore 3 key insights that can make this process of being the first in your family to awaken smoother, more fulfilling, and much more impactful. So first, to get started, one of the main challenges for the first person in their family to awaken is just navigating the tension that can arise when new beliefs or ways of thinking conflict with traditional family values or mindsets. And it's really common for other family members to resist these changes. They may view them as a departure from or even a rejection of family norms. So on one hand, you might be super excited that you've had this spiritual awakening, you're viewing things differently, you're seeing things from a new perspective and point of view, but there can be a lot of misunderstanding from other family members, and you might feel different or even more distant, which can be emotionally difficult during this process. But on the other hand, probably the most exciting part of all this is that there's a really powerful potential for transformation, not just for you, but for your whole family. The first person to awaken in a family very often acts sort of as a bridge, modeling a path that shows that it's possible for others to grow, heal, and view life from a different perspective. So over time, you might find that family members, even if initially they were a little hesitant or skeptical, they might become more open, curious, or accepting of these ideas. I'm curious if this has happened to all of you? If so, please just leave something in the comment section below. I'd love to hear about your story. Because in many cases, this initial awakening, I've found, sort of serves as a catalyst for subtle changes within the entire family dynamic. And it often inspires others to then look within, adopt healthier patterns maybe, or at least become more open and understanding of different viewpoints. So during this entire process, staying grounded, finding like-minded communities, and just ultimately honoring your own unique journey without forcing it on others can make this process much easier. It also helps to communicate with your family in a way that's compassionate and open, focused on the shared values that you have, while showing that this path for you is about personal growth. It's not about judging other people. So now let's talk about 3 insights that can make this process for you as a spiritual pioneer within your family go much more smoothly. So being the first in your family to awaken can feel isolating at times, but remember, this journey is a gift. You're paving a new path, not just for yourself, but potentially other family members, as well as future generations. So again, I use this term, I just invented this, conscious pioneer, but it's sort of someone, I think, who's willing to explore new perspectives, break away from limiting beliefs, and embrace a more open and connected view of life. So this shift in perspective might feel foreign, especially at first, to your family, and they might not understand some of the changes that they see in you. And that's totally fine. You just have to learn to accept that and be okay with that reality. Embracing this role and being one of the first to awaken means recognizing the unique position that you're in to inspire healing, understanding, and even curiosity within your family. You might not need to explain everything that you're going through, but by living your authentic life and following your spiritual path, you're leading by example. So one thing that I've found in my own life is that there's often a lot of curiosity, even unexpected curiosity, when it comes to some of these spiritual themes. I've been making these YouTube videos now for a few months, and it's really fascinating to me. At times I get questions from people who I didn't think were really interested in these topics, and they've come to me and said, hey, I saw you did a video on this one topic. What do you think about this or that? And is this related? So I think under the surface, even with people who we might not think have necessarily like a spiritual outlook on things, a lot of times just you living your truth and following your path, in a sense, makes other people feel more comfortable with talking about those topics with you, or maybe doing some research on your own. So that's like a really cool sort of side effect, an added benefit to you simply following your path and following your own spiritual journey. So the second point is practice compassionate communication. I think one of the biggest challenges as the first to awaken in the family is just finding ways to stay true to your path while maintaining harmony with family members who don't necessarily see things in the same way. They don't share the same perspective. And really, compassionate communication is key here. Start by remembering that everyone is on their own path with their own timeline. And they might just not be ready to discuss certain topics or see certain things the way that you see them. And that's totally okay. That's totally fine. And this is also where empathy comes in. Now, don't be afraid to express your beliefs, especially if someone asks about them, but you want to do so in a way that without pressure or without judgment of others. So you might find it helpful to share stories or personal experiences rather than telling people, the way things have to be, or, oh, I can't believe that you don't see my perspective. Like, you want to stay away from anything that sort of resembles you trying to preach or teach them, or anything that resembles an argument. Because even if your family doesn't fully understand, they will very likely still appreciate your honesty and your openness, and the fact that you're staying true to yourself and following the spiritual path. Another aspect of this, and another reason why this compassionate communication is so important, is that I think for all of us on the spiritual path, it's a really exciting thing. right? You see yourself starting to make progress. You see how on a daily, a weekly, monthly basis, you have a greater understanding of certain things. And it's very frustrating when others just like don't get it, or they don't see the big picture. And that's definitely been true for me, because it's coming from a really good place. We want to help other people, and we think we have all the answers. Sometimes it goes to our head a little bit, that's true. But ultimately, this is coming from a compassionate place. We found something that really works, that helps to make sense of this craziness in the world, and we want to share it with other people. And this frustration comes about because we think, oh, if you would just listen to me, I think I can help you here. Like, this is the way you should approach this situation or this thing or whatever. But that's been a big learning lesson for myself. And I've talked about this a few times with a close friend, that there's often this frustration that we want to help others, but again, it's different when someone wants to be helped. If someone comes to you with questions and they're already on this journey, that's one thing. But if you're trying to force your perspective and your way of thinking on others, it's just not going to work. And another thing to keep in mind here is, as advanced as we might feel that we are on our spiritual journey, there are always going to be those who are far, far ahead of us. So I'm at a point in my journey where I certainly have a lot of information to share with others, but my progress still pales in comparison to many of my teachers and people far, far beyond me. So it's important to remember that as advanced as we sometimes think we are, there is at times a bit of ego here. There are people far, far beyond us. And it's important to just remember that everyone's going at their own pace. There's no rush, and we have to be understanding and compassionate with that. So the third insight is that it can be very helpful during this process to seek community beyond your family. While it's normal to hope for family support in your spiritual awakening process and what you're going through, being the first to awaken might mean finding connection outside your family circle. It doesn't mean you love or care about them any less. It just means that there may be other communities out there where you can discuss your experiences more openly and feel more supported. This could be a spiritual group, an online community, a school group, or even just with a few close friends who share similar beliefs or who are maybe going through something similar themselves. Being around like-minded people, especially on this whole spiritual journey and spiritual path, it not only reinforces your growth, but it helps you manage any feelings of isolation or being different that might come up. And over time, I've certainly felt this, but you may even find that the stability and peace and support that you gain from these kinds of communities and friends might even make your family feel more comfortable with your path. So to everyone who feels like a conscious pioneer in their own family, remember, your awakening is a very powerful personal journey, and not just for you, but potentially for those around you and future generations of your family. Embrace your role with patience, practice compassionate communication, and work to build a supportive community to help you along the way. This journey may not always be easy, but that's what we signed up for. It is incredibly rewarding. You're helping to create a brighter, more conscious future, one step at a time. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe for more similar conscious content in the future. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.